Are you familiar with Gorilla Glue, Tim? Have you had personal experience with it?
I have extensive experience with Gorilla Glue because I'm frequently breaking things and dropping things. Yes, but what does that have to do with groceries?
Well, you can get this at your local grocery store, I'm sure. But here's the deal. I think Gorilla Glue is the biggest retail scam, one of the biggest retail scams in history.
Doesn't it have the power of a gorilla?
It's supposed to. I can't get it to stick. It sticks on my fingers. That's it. I have tried it on plastics. I've tried it on glass. My son was making a rocket for a science class for a project for eighth grade there, and he was trying to use it to glue on these, wings on the rocket. No, wouldn't go, wouldn't stick. Have you had success with it? Because I have not.
I feel like I've never had a complaint about Gorilla Glue in particular, but now that I'm thinking about it, I should go back and give it another shot. I do have some Gorilla Glue, as most people do, I think, right? I mean,
Well, they had a pretty strong advertising campaign going, as you mentioned. The big gorilla in the room. Are you familiar with the? I don't know if it's. I believe it's a TikTok craze right now. Who would win in a fight, 100 men or one gorilla?
right. I think I've seen that.
My son posed that question to me last week, and I'm like, well, come on, 100 men. I mean, right? I mean, you get a couple piling on the gorilla, and then you get like 50 on him. And I mean, does the gorilla stand a chance? But he did bring up, he's like, gorilla is a pretty strong being. So I don't know. It made me think.
It's a good question. We should try this out. We need to have like somebody needs to make a TV show like a Hunger Games style. That probably wouldn't fly though.
I don't know. Just something that was brought up in conversation with my family last night, and I'm like, Gorilla Glue. I just think it's let me down. It's let me down too many times. But there's been something that has not let us down, Tim, and that's a group from Brazil. Is that correct? That they are huge fans of the show?
Oh yeah, no, that is correct.
How did they reach out? Did they reach out to us via email, or how did that come on our laps there?
No, they contacted. Okay, so here I'm pulling it up right now. It's a guy named Fabiano Police, Polese, and he's from Brazil. He's got Expo News, Expo Supermercados. It's a website that covers the Brazilian grocery industry. Perhaps it's all of South America. I'm not sure. I don't speak Portuguese, but he contacted me and said, we love the show. We want to rerun it. So apparently they're going to start running this on their website. So go check it out.
You know what this means is that we have now gone global, and our salary demands should go up now.
That's
What
right.
do you think?
We're an international sensation.
We have a worldwide audience.
Brazil today, the rest of the world tomorrow.
So I just want to give a special shout out to them
Yeah.
down in Brazil. Thank you for reaching out, and we certainly see you out there, and so happy that you're part of the Grocery Guys community.
We love Expo Supermercados.
Yeah, I go shopping there every time I'm in Brazil.
I want to go to
So,
Brazil now. I've never been. Have you ever been to
oh, I'd love
Brazil?
to go to Brazil. It's,
Yeah.
it's a lovely country. So let's get to the meat of the matter, the meat counter, talk about our main subject, and that is it's Hispanic related. There's been some chatter out there about the Hispanic shopper and that they're pulling back a little bit. Specifically, we have Constellation Brands, which is their makers of Modelo. And just a side note, I have some background information here. Special news breaking bulletin. I have a friend who is a distributor. That's what he does for alcohol. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, how are sales of Modelo? Because as you remember when everyone did their protests of Bud Light, and that was a huge deal.
That's right.
When yes, when Kid Rock is like, hey, I don't like Bud Light, and everyone's like, all right, we don't either. Modelo became the number one selling brand in the U.S. when
Right.
that
And
happened.
wasn't that because Bud Light had like I forget her name, but They had a
Yes.
trans spokesperson who was like kind of a trans influencer, and people just lost their minds. They were like, I can't believe this happened.
Yes.
I'm going.
Yes.
And then Modelo became the number one beer in the
Modelo
country.
became number one. And the funny thing about that whole ad campaign was, I mean, the trans woman showed a can with her likeness on it,
Right.
but that was just a prop. It wasn't like everyone thought like they were going to put her likeness on all these Bud Light cans, and that was just a prop for
Yeah.
her social media, blurb, whatever she did. So it
Right.
went out of control.
And I just looked her up. It's Dylan Mulvaney. I didn't want to just
There you
say
go.
that person whose name I can't
Yes.
remember. Dylan is a highly influential TikToker, as they
Yes.
say. Yeah.
He is big on the TikTok scene. So I asked my friend how are Modelo sales right now, and he said they're in the dumpster right now.
Wow.
So it's a real deal. And Constellation Brands are tying it to economic factors. You have tariffs, you have high prices still going on, you have Trump administration's immigration effort that he's trying to deport illegals at a record pace. So Constellation Brands tied it to that. They basically said, you know, people, Hispanics, drink our beer in social situations, and they're not doing that right now. A lot of it, I think, jobs is another concern that they have. Are they going to be able to hold their jobs during this time? So on the opposite side of this spectrum here, you have Coca-Cola, who also is reporting that among Hispanic shoppers, their sales are down. However, they are pointing that to a viral video that leaked out, and obviously it's now viral because I just said it's a viral video. It accuses Coca-Cola of assisting ICE agents in this aggressive deportation push.
Right.
So you got two stories there. One is actually saying, hey, there are some economic factors here and other factors, political factors that could be affecting this. And then you have another one that's like, you know what? It's just all due to a viral video.
And they're suggesting that the viral video is inaccurate, I suppose, right? Or did they actually assist
No,
ICE?
they are saying that it's inaccurate. And I guess after seeing the viral video, Hispanic community are boycotting Coca-Cola right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, as well as other Constellation Brands see if they make a recovery. So I guess what I want to really talk about here is what has been the impact at these ethnic stores, specifically the stores that focus on Hispanic foods, but also Asian stores. We can talk about that in a minute. But with prices continuing to rise, although food at home prices dropped by 0.4% in terms of inflation in the month of April. So good news there, but they are still at a high level. And you have a sustained high level of high prices. This has been going on for a while now. You have people worried about their jobs, especially among the Hispanics. You have people worried if they're going to be in America. You have people that are already leaving this country because they don't want to be tracked down by ICE agents or tracked down in the wrong way by ICE agents. We've heard stories where people are legal citizens and they've been tracked down and bothered by ICE agents. So I wonder what the impact is right now with some of these Hispanic grocery stores. Do you think that they're taking a little bit of a hit?
Yeah, I mean, you're more of an expert on this than I am, but yeah, I mean, certainly they're taking a hit in a variety of ways, not just higher prices from tariffs, but like, all this stuff has a chilling effect, I think. And speaking of Brazil, I was going to mention this earlier and was reminded that we're loved in Brazil. But this was in early March, and our colleague here, Mark Hamster, wrote a story about ICE agents arresting what it was, four immigrant grocery workers from Brazil at a jumbo meat market in Philadelphia. And we've heard these kinds of stories, as in other places too. I think sometimes there are rumors and sometimes it's real, but it's certainly happening that people are just getting, sort of yanked off the streets here. It's not just a raid on people's homes and stuff. So I think there is a fear generally of like just going to places that ICE might target, right?
Yeah, if I was Hispanic, I kind of relate it back to, the 1960s, 1950s, with everything that happened with the race riots, and I'd be petrified. I honestly would be paranoid,
Yeah.
that something was going to happen. So, um, I have been doing stories on this. I did write a story on the effect on Constellation Brands, on Coca-Cola, and boy, did I really, really cover a wide net trying to get interviews. I reached out to a number of different Hispanic supermarkets, including Save a Lot, which has Aurora Mucho, and Spartan Nash, which just opened its fourth Hispanic market in Nebraska. And they unfortunately did not want to participate because I wanted to see if this was not true. I mean, you have all these news outlets saying that, Hispanic grocery shopping could be, headed towards a cliff. And I didn't want to, do this story and just focus on the negatives. And I even said this to them. I'm like, hey, if you guys are doing great, tell me. I want to know. I want to know. That way I can put that in my story. Unfortunately, they politely passed, so I can't, there's other factors involved there. But I did want to talk about a study by Circana that they did late last year. And basically, what they found is that Hispanic consumers fueled 16% of the total US growth in consumer packaged goods, spending patterns that differ from non Hispanic consumers in both dollars and unit sales. And then Hispanics now make up 20% of the US population and accounted for 71% of national population growth between 2022 and 2023, and more than 25% of Gen Z and Gen Alpha identify as Hispanic, highlighting the long-term spending power of this demographic. So you have this Hispanic demographic that is really the young superstar among grocers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's a critical segment of the market. And you see like even non-ethnic grocers catering to not just, Hispanic shoppers, but Asian shoppers. Somewhere in Dallas, Kroger's, working with this right now where they're setting up, Asian grocery stores that are Asian focused. They're emphasizing it more in their just regular stores as well. So there are a lot of dollars to be made out there, and when segments of the market like this pull back, grocers really feel it, I think.
And you mentioned Asian grocers, and that's been another big emerging player in the grocery world. A lot of H Mart has a lot of stores, and there's other Asian markets that have done very well. And you talk about tariffs specifically, and there's going to be a problem there. At least for 2 or 3 weeks of high prices.
Right, because you were saying the tariffs that were put into place even temporarily had an impact for the
Yes.
stuff that was imported in, and that stuff is still going to be at a higher price level, right?
Yeah, totally. So there's a lot of things going on with this administration and what they're doing and with the high cost of foods. But here is my paper or plastic moment. Do you think that Coca-Cola and other consumer product goods are going to come out in their next earnings report and say this is starting to become a problem, or not? That's your paper or plastic choice.
I would say not. I think these are the kinds of conversations that happen behind closed doors, and we saw this what a few weeks ago when Trump pulled back on tariffs that were going to, it was back when they were 145% for China. And then you get a meeting with the heads of Walmart and Target, and I believe Home Depot was there. And then the next day he said, "Oh, the tariffs are off." I don't think that they're going to make a big public show of it or put it into earnings reports or any kind of documentation. But I think behind the scenes they're saying, "Cut it out."
Yeah, I really do think that over time during this administration, it's going to become more and more a problem. And I think it's going to be seen at the grocery store level for some of these Hispanic markets. I'm not talking about these guys are going to be going out of business anytime soon, but I think they're going to take a little bit of a hit. And I think it's going to be at least in the short term during this administration, as opposed to the long term of this administration. So that's all we got for today. And I would like to say a special hasta luego to our Brazil fan group. Are they going to be here for our live show?
We should have them on if they're ever in town.
And I'm thinking we're definitely going to have to need security guards now. So we're going to have to. Tim, I'm going to put you on that assignment. You're going to have to hunt down some security teams. I noticed that Arnold Schwarzenegger was out in New York yesterday, and he had 5 security guards, Tim. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Why does Arnold Schwarzenegger need 5 security guards?
Exactly. Who's going to go after him? I mean, he's much older now, but he could still mop the floor with me.
He's a Terminator, too.
He's a Terminator. Come on. Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, Tim, we're going to need, I'm going to say, place the order in for 100 security guards, okay?
I would need more than that.
Yeah. One gorilla, maybe just one gorilla,
or just one gorilla.
All right,
full circle here.
There we go. We've connected the dots now. He is Tim Inkelbarger. I am Bill Wilson, and we are Grocery Guys. Have a good rest of your week.